Good morning. I have spent 647 of my gigabytes trying to beat a 1000% endgame crisis. It was absolutely brutal, it took a very long time to finish, and it also gave me a newfound hatred of sand. No, what have I done? Fuck. Our delightful destination of today is Araby, where thanks to an amazing Lost Factions mod, we're going to be playing as Araby. Not only have I challenged myself to defeat a 1000% endgame crisis using the better endgame mod, we also have to unite all of Araby under our benevolent rule and launch an invasion of Telia, Estalia and Britonia. In other words, we have a lot of things to do, so we better get started. We began our adventure in the desert, where we are introduced to our main protagonist, Jafar. As usual, my entire plan was made up by exactly 0% plan and 100% of just completely winging it. All I knew at this point was that we had roughly 90 turns before this ominous looking pyramid, this ominous looking pyramid opens up and spews forth never-ending legions of the undead. Now, it's important that you know that I had no idea what I had just gotten myself into, so when we fought the first battle of the game, we were unburdened by the knowledge that we all now possess. Anyway, having won our first battle over Tegan's errantry thanks to our very big angry blue man, we instantly got attacked by Mr. Tegan himself the very next turn. This is when we find out that our fearless leader Jafar isn't just a cranky old, very legally distinct wizard dude with a snake staff, but he is also a cranky old ripped red ghost man with tusks, and he immediately started whirlwinding around like a madman in the middle of the French formations. God damn, okay, that is pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. With our second battle won, we recruited some more dudes and sent out a caravan which immediately ran into some angry sentient ropes. Oh my God, what the fuck are those sounds? Back on the mainland, we had just conquered 3 more cities for ourselves. Sure, 2 of them were immediately taken back by some pirates and the French, but it was nonetheless pretty goddamn impressive. Okay, so maybe declaring war on the French while a pirate invasion fleet was heading our way wasn't such a good idea, but I didn't let that stand in my way. Since the pirates had the first to go to gain any reinforcements, I decided to deal with them first. Yeah, you can run, but you can't hide from the massive purple hand of doom, my guy. With the pirates kicked back into the sea where they belong, they immediately returned on the other side of our empire and took another city of us. So we did the same thing all over again, but this time using Molotov cocktails. With the pirates gone for good, we turned our attention to the French. Since we didn't know where their army was, we retook our city and declined their offer of peace. The next turn, there was still no sign of their army, so we took their last 2 cities and wiped them out. With that done, we now hold sway over the northern half of Araby, and our biggest rival was Arkan the Black, who pretty much held the rest of the south. Now the problem was that he was maybe about 127 places higher than us on the power scale, and he just declared war on us. Well, shit. His opening move was to take the Eye of the Panther and Martek while advancing with no less than 3 full stacks. We countered this move by trampling 2 of his armies with 16 war elephants clad with fezzes. After that, we mopped up the rest of his empire by turn 30 without facing too much opposition, which was extremely good. What wasn't so good, however, was the fact that Korok Manripper then declared war on us, burned down one of our cities and then instantly lost it to Volkmar the Grim. In other words, Volkmar had just stolen one of our cities without actually declaring war on us, which is a very good move on his part, because in order to get it back, I had to declare war on him, making me the bad guy. What he hadn't counted on, however, was the fact that I don't care. So, on with our brand new flying carpets and a Giga Cannon, we took back what was ours. With the village back under our just rule, we had to defend Vulture's Mountain from a dwarf uprising. Now, I think it's important that you know that on the grand scheme of things, losing this city won't really change anything. We could simply retake the city on the next turn without it having any sort of impact on us whatsoever. So, naturally I spent about 65 minutes doing everything I could not to lose this city that literally did not matter. And we did it. we kept it. Anyway, since we have wasted so much time, let us skip ahead a few turns to turn 44. We had just finished our first quest of unifying all of Araby under our control. Our first quest was done. As a reward, we get a new legendary lord calling himself the Butcher, which might not be the best name ever, but he's really a swell guy once you get to know him. I promise. We also get a new legendary unit in our next quest, to conquer Telia and Estalia. Our landing point would be Saratosa, the former capital of the pirates that was such a pain in our ass in the beginning of the game. It was, however, under new management, the ogres. So we kicked them out to build up some basic infrastructure and start our war with the Ratmen of Skavenblight, who instantly nuked me. So to retaliate, I trampled them all with my elephants, so he sent in 3 armies to kill me, so I killed them instead and took all of his stuff. You know, total war stuff. While this was happening, the Butcher and the boys were fighting Scarbrand because apparently we're just going to beat up everyone we have played recently. With that done, we were now advancing into Estalia for the exact same reason we had in our Skaven video. The Beastmen. This is when 2 things that I didn't want to happen, happened. The French were advancing into Estalia and Ikit Claw was back. Well, shit. Before we could deal with that, however, we have to deal with the Beastmen, which we did, using artillery. Since Jafar was in Estalia, walking him all the way back into Telia to deal with Ikit seemed like a waste of time. So instead, I decided to do the honorable thing and bribed him. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the same with the French. So we killed them. Now I realized that sounds very aggressive, and that's only because it was. It was now turn 77 and we have completed our second task. We had conquered all of Telia and Estalia, granting us some more bonuses and our last task to conquer all of Bretonia. But since we only had roughly 10 turns left before the apocalypse begun, I sent Jafar back home and started planning our defense. And the moment I stepped into the sea, the elves came and tried to take my shit. So we shoot them full of arrows. Back home, we made ready to storm the Black Pyramid of Nagash, because I had come to the conclusion that the best way to defeat the apocalypse was to spawn cap it. So, with 5 full armies of mostly good troops, we lay siege to the Black Pyramid itself, and then we out-resolved the battle, because frankly, I hate siege battles. Anyway, with our success at home, it was only natural that shit wouldn't be going so hot on our overseas empire. The French had come back, like they so often do. And since our army charged with defending our colonies was mostly made up by random dudes with spears and this one singular elephant, I wasn't very confident in our abilities of fighting off the cream of the French nobility. That was until I saw what an absolute unit that elephant was. He had such mass that there was no way that we could... Great, he immediately died and so did everyone else. Fuck. Now charging him straight at the enemy army, pretty much unsupported, probably didn't help our situation, but what can I say? I really thought he could take him. Anyway, with our only army in the area defeated, I decided to ignore the problem and instead focus on the coming battle by the pyramid. So, with 6 armies standing ready and a sizable garrison, we waited. And waited. And waited. Until finally, on turn 92, we got the message. The pyramid wakes. The end is nigh. Now at this point I was still 100% confident that we were going to send these decrepit old farts back into their sandy tombs and then crack on with our day. At no point did it ever cross my mind that there was even a minuscule possibility that we were going to lose. Sure, a lot of people would die, but that's what we bought the slaves for. God, that is fucked up. Not even when my PC lagged for a solid 5 seconds after the end turn did I suspect what was about to happen. And then it did. Oh God. No, what have I done? Fuck. Yep, I have no idea how many armies just spawned, but oh, it was a lot. What are we supposed to do? No! So we did the only thing we could do and we tried to punch our way out of there. And do you know what the saddest part is? for a moment, after having killed 4 of their armies in one fell swoop, I actually believed that I had a chance. And then we loaded back into the world map, and we hadn't done shit. So it was unfortunate that my PC it crashed because of all of the armies. Oh no, how sad. And we loaded back in just before the end of the world, and I did what anyone in my position would do. I ran for my life. I abandoned my expansive empire and left all non-military personnel to fend for themselves against the undead horde that was about to dig their way out of the sea of sand. So, anyway, having arrived in the remains of our overseas empire, we drive out the French and start entrenching the beaches. A few Sentinel armies cross the sea once in a while, but it's nothing we can't handle. So we decide to advance into Bretonia. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, this doesn't seem that bad. I'm sure it's just playing it up for dramatic effect. And once again, you are completely right. Things aren't really that bad. They are in fact much worse. Having advanced into Bretonia, established a base at Castle Carcassonne, and having wiped out the Fey Enchantress, no less than 3 full stacks of somewhat balanced Empire armies appeared from nowhere, wanting our blood. Thankfully, I had used my brain for once in my life, and we now had Lightning Strike. So we destroyed one of them instantly and killed another using the laser beam. Okay, so maybe things weren't actually as bad as I thought they were. We have conquered half of Bretonia and things are actually pretty chill. Our economy is back up and running, and yeah, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good right now. Oh, what is that? Another Sentinel army? Not a problem. It sure is fortunate that these undead only send over 1 army at a time. Oh god, no. No, please. No, they're coming again. Yep, it was turn 112 and the Sentinels had just launched 8 armies across the sea to take our shit. Again. Our cities fell before the relentless undead advance, and once again, we were forced to run. Gentlemen, you know what to do. Having escaped yet another undead invasion, we sought refuge on a Big C donut. But the undead, they followed us. So unfortunately, we had to run a 3rd time. And this time, we had to leave the butcher behind to buy us some time to get away. But unfortunately, that just wasn't enough. Surrounded by enemies on all sides, I decided to make our final stand on the corpses of dead Bretonians. God, who writes this shit? Oh, it's me. Fuck. Anyway, having taken Lyonesse, we used the money that we weren't paying the Butcher's army to upgrade our 2 remaining ones with actual real troops. So when the undead horde stepped onto the beaches, we promptly tossed them back in. Having done that 3 times, I was starting to feel a little bit more confident. And you know what, maybe I could actually rebuild again and take back all that we had lost. So with that small little crumb of hope, we sent our Jafar to pacify the north while our 2nd army defended Lyonesse, which was instantly attacked by 3 more undead armies. Oh, for fuck's sake, I know that I had a lot of armies, but this is goddamn ridiculous. Somehow we managed to win after a lot of finagling and by launching exploding cows at them. Wait, hold up a fucking second. We are shooting cows at them. What the fuck? Yep, we were actually shooting cows at the undead hordes, and it actually worked. With that done, we pacified the north, killed 3 more undead armies by shooting our arrows at nothing, and advanced further into Bretonia. Having played for 160 turns at this point, I out-resolved as many battles as I possibly could. And if half of our palace guard died after every single battle, it didn't matter, because Jafar had so many buffs at this point that they were rank 8 right out of the gate, which meant that I would spend them like their lives meant nothing, because if they died, I could just get me some more. Oh, and by the way, as you probably realize, I am showing you a very heavily edited down account of events. So, just to let you have a little peek behind the curtain, so to speak, so far in this game, we have killed 129 lords and destroyed a girthy 2,616 units, while losing 13 lords and 877 units ourselves. This have been a slugfest, the likes of which I have never seen. Anyway, with the butcher back in the field, the crew was once again assembled and we started pushing. 7 turns later, Bretonnia was mostly under our control. 7 turns after that, Estalia was ours. 6 turns after that, and Altdorf was ours after Karl declared war on us again. And finally, on turn 207, 5 of our armies were poised to retake our homeland. After 11 turns, 7 armies advance on the Black Pyramid, and we tear it down, brick by black brick. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I beat a 1000% endgame crisis. Conquered all of Bretonnia, Estalia, Telia, and probably shortened my lifespan with about 17 years. I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you all so very much for the support on the last video. It means more than you could ever know. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace! Also, just so you know, this mod is insanely good.